Hell, hell. Hello, and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion, and I am trying to get this window swap scene to show up. There we go. Okay. Whoa, this looks like Colorado. Where are we? We're in Switzerland. Never mind, we're in Switzerland. Hi, as it were. How are you doing on this fantastic day? And we got a resub from the Dukasoft. The one and the only Dukasoft. It's Friday. Happy Friday to all of you. Dukasoft has been subscribed for 20 consecutive months. 20. If you think about it, that's a long time. If you don't think about it, it's a long time. Thank you so much for your continued support, Dukasoft. You have been an amazing member of this community. So, hi, how are each of you doing? I hope you're well. Today is Community Day. It is Friday, Community Day Friday, which is also a Friday, which is also the same day that Irish John Games and Nerduino happen to be doing a fundraiser stream. Fundraiser? I think it's called fundraiser. A charity stream, I guess. So, yeah, feel free to check them out as well. Donate to their cause, which I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm sure it's a good cause. They've been doing it for quite some time now. But I'm getting some things ready. I switched over to... Did you only play that one song? I think it only played that one song. Play the entire playlist. How do I make it play the entire playlist? Continue. Anyway, so as you know, Soundtrack was retired last week, Friday. And so I used Streambeats before, so I tried that on Monday. And then we didn't have a stream on Wednesday because explosions happened. At least I'm assuming it was an explosion that caused the internet to go down for 2 days straight. Well, that was so annoying. But anyway, we are back up with internets, and we has music. Now being provided by Slipstream. It is a curated playlist that my administrative assistant had created for us. Ha, ha, ha. And so I put some things together just to make sure that I credit. You can see down here at the bottom, it says music provided by Slipstream. And I will also be showing the name of the artist who just happens to be, well, let me get something open on my screen first. Yay! Thank you so much for that shout out to Irish John Games. Dukasoft. Yeah, it was, so we had a power flicker that happened on Tuesday morning at around 9 o'clock or so. And when all of the devices came back up, the description that I put in Discord is that things stopped whirring. You know, how things start up and they go. Anyway, once they got to stable, the internet didn't come back with it. And I was like, oh, great. So the first thing I did was I went outside to the modem and then I unplugged it and plugged it back in after waiting about 30 seconds or so. You know, power cycle process. Anyway, unplugged it, plugged it back in, verified that none of the breakers in the fuse box, in the breaker box, were tripped, which they weren't. And then restarted the actual router down here, which I think is the actual modem router part, and then the one that's on the side of the house is the transceiver thing that turns the digital signal into, or the optical signal into a digital that we can use for interwebs. So anyway, I did all that. Things were still broken. So then I tried to call CenturyLink, and I got a message saying the phone number you're calling has been disconnected. They don't use call in anymore. In order to get support from them, you have to use chat, which means you have to be connected to the internet. So if you don't have good cell service or any kind of alternate means to get onto the internet, you can't contact support. And our mobile data, which we hadn't had to use because our internet is amazing, so we're always on Wi-Fi, our mobile data is pretty spotty. Who knew? I think maybe because it's a new development section and they haven't put up better cell towers or something. But yeah, our mobile service is pretty not good in this area. So we were trying to do stuff off of using our phones as hotspots, both my wife and me, and it felt like we were back in 1998, 56K dial-up connection. It was pretty terrible. And like the whole entire feeling of it was like this oppressive kind of, just because the internet was going slow, our bodies felt like they were going slow, everything around us felt like it was just going through mud. It was really, really oppressive is the best word that I have for it at the moment. It was crap is what it was. So anyway, I was still able to do work because, as you know, I work on a desktop app, which doesn't require internet connection. But what does require internet connections are PRs and pipelines. And so trying to manage doing that, especially since we need to have essentially an emergency release off of our most recent release to fix a test issue. I was the one coordinating all of that because our project manager is out of town this week. It was just a bad time for the internet to go down. So anyway, I was coordinating all that. I was actually on a Zoom call with one of our developers working through another issue at the same time while trying to update our specs, because that needs to be 100% correct suddenly when it's an internal technical specifications document about the app and how it works that's only used by other teams within the organization. But suddenly it needs to be 100% accurate. It's had screenshots from like releases from 5-10 years ago in there because the content really hasn't changed, just the UI. We need it updated suddenly. So that's fun. That's good times. But anyway, internet came back on Wednesday at around 3, I think it was. So just in time for me to join our normal weekly meeting that we have with the client. So the entire dev team plus the client stakeholders, product owner. So that was fun. It was interesting times. But yeah, so that's where we're at. We have new music, is what I was really trying to say. So the music provider is Slipstream, and you will see that the artist that will appear on this specific playlist at the moment is named Purple Cat with 2 R's. You can see it in the bottom corner here. Ooh, I need to make that whiter. Okay, that's about as white as I can get it. But yeah, we will be listening to tunes from Purple Cat. For today's stream. And then the list will grow It'll change. We'll add songs. We'll curate it even more. So let me know if there are any songs that are just annoying to you. Otherwise, the majority of them are super mellow and chill, and I love them. They're really nice. So anyway, today is Community Day, so I am hopping into Discord to prepare the voice channel for Community Day. So you can see my name, my not really my name, because streamer protection or whatever it's called is turned on. Maybe I can turn that off. Let me turn that off. What was that? I saw a thing show up. That was really weird. Maybe it was just my preview window, but it looked like something else popped up. Oh, something did pop up. Community Day got pinned, I think. Unless that was a while ago. Atlanta Night is here. I mean ATL Night. I'll just call you Night. Night. Gosh. All right. So I got Discord opened. Are you playing through the correct audio output source so it'll come through on the stream? Is it just called devices now? No, voice and video still. Yes, playing through the correct output device. Streamer mode. Hide personal information. Yes. But I don't want to anonymize the name tag. I do want to hide emails and connected accounts and stuff, but I mean, I don't really ever show my Discord window, so I just want the user's name to show up next to the icon in the top left there. Icon, gravatar. Ah, and you did just pin it. Cool. So anyway, now that I have that set up, if you are interested in communicating using your beautiful voice for today's stream, then feel free to jump into, let's say, the stream waiting room, or any of the stream voice channels works, and then I'll pull you into the actual stream room. Just know that your voice will come through on the stream, and I post recordings of the stream to YouTube. So if you don't want your voice to be held in perpetuity, if you do not consent to your voice being recorded and posted to a social media platform such as in YouTube, then I would recommend just using chat to have your conversation. Otherwise, I will do my best to pay full attention to the chats for today's stream. If we don't have anyone that feels like coming into the stream room voice channel, or nobody has any extra conversations to add to chat, I will just be doing our normal project that we've been working on the stream, which has been pretty good so far. We are on the last bit of logic. So I will show the stream project while I'm waiting for anyone that is interested in hopping into Discord. All right, let's CD into Finan Man Wasm Gasm. Down there, watch. So the project that we've been working on the stream is called the Financial Management Tracker. It's a system for, or an application, cross-platform application for allowing users to manually track their financial transactions. So this has no external connections to your actual financial institutions like savings, checkings, accounts, credit cards, loans, etc. This is all intended for hand jamming, if you are familiar with the term, your own transactions into a database and seeing the list of transactions in a table, essentially. Okay, so this is what it currently looks like. We will be updating the UI very soon because we're almost done with the functionality. Oh, yeah, it's so nice. And so essentially, there are 3 types of transactions that the application currently tracks: payment transactions, deposit transactions, and transfers. Payments are where you are moving money from one of your tracked accounts out to some external source. I call them payees. Deposits are when you are moving money from an external source into must be Bob Ross's cousin, huh? I don't know about that, but I appreciate it. I'll assume it's a compliment. It's the music. It's got to be the music. It's not really my voice. It's just that the timbre of my voice happens to jive with the key that most of the songs are in. We'll say that's what it is. Yeah, I'd have to grow my hair out. Actually, you know, if I do let it grow out, it would be just as curly and poofy as Bob Ross's. Oh man, I recently found the picture where my hair looks like that. Are you prepared for this? I don't think you are. Okay, this is what my hair used to look like in high school. Are you ready? Are you ready? I don't want to show it. I was born ready. It was a poof. It was a big pom-pom. So I didn't always have it like this. It's just on occasion it grew out and got really, really poofy. New thumbnail. Well, now you have it. I was right. Someone needs a haircut. Oh man. Like, I would show this picture, but I'm topless. So this is essentially why I had my hair grown out like that, was so that I could do this for some Halloween, I think it was. But this was like even a different instance of it. And then I photoshopped my eyes or whatever. What do you do when you need to see in front of you? But yeah, I found out that having your hair in braids like this, yeah, it itches a lot. A lot. Especially for scalps that aren't used to having hair in braids. But yeah, my hair gets really poofy. And that was like 20 years ago, and it's still doing that. It's crazy. Crazy hair. Yeah, I have a 4Fans topless image of me. I used to go around without my shirt on a lot in high school, like in marching band specifically. I had overalls that were never up around my shoulders. Supercut's called, and once they're advertising mojofawad. Doubtful. I was probably one of the least attractive guys in marching band, at least in our marching band. Did you play tuba? No, I did not play tuba, nor did I play the sousaphone. I was a percussionist, and pretty much throughout my entire marching band career, I played marching bass drum. Since we're talking about it, this happens to be the topic. Let me see. I also recently found some pictures of me in Kansas State Marching Band. I just got to get my external drive to work. Found on the internet. So these are pictures that I found on the interwebs. And here is 2000, my freshman year of college. I'm right here, which is really, really pixelated. I don't know why it's pixelated, but anyway, that's me. I was playing base number 2 that year. This one time at band camp. And then there was, gosh, you can't even read the date on this one. 2001, the next year, I was on base 4. Yeah, I was on, pretty sure I was on base 4 that year. Anyway, that's me there. And then in 2002, wow, these are actually in order. In 2002, I was on base 3. Oh man. So Tim, Claire, BJ, I'm pretty sure I was on base 4 again, maybe base 3. I can't remember. And then in 2003, I was on base 5. And 2004, oh, who knows what base I was playing in 2004, but I'm right here. For some reason, the baseline decided to not look at the camera. I blame Tim. KSU, very nice. My community college had a pawn shop. Sax and snare. Oh, you played sax and snare, or what? Or was that all that they had in the pawn shop? Or, oh, that's what you mean. Like for your oh yeah, and then this is high school. Senior year of high school, just before I went to K-State. That's me from a million billion years ago. Probably my freshman year of high school. I think this is concert band. Look at this hair. Yeah, this is the combined picture. Good, Chachi. I look so happy. I mean, I can't tell if this was something that Jonah and I chose to do for this picture, or like I remember pictures from 2000 and before, I never smiled in them because I wasn't happy getting my picture taken. People stealing my picture. Just missing Joni and the fonts. Ooh. Yeah. That's awesome. Wow. Oh man, I didn't want that to stop. That was awesome. Anyway, 500 bits. Thank you so much for the 500 bits. That was awesome. I really am a lot older than you. Not by too much, or even if you are, you don't act like it. Age is just a construct. It is a projection of our experience as we move through time, as we experience the world through time, through the constraint of time, I should say. Anyway, replay. That'd be awesome. Anyway, hi DFlux. Glad to see you here. It is Community Day, so feel free, if you are interested, to hop into any of the Discord voice channels, like the Stream Waiting Room, if you want to have a conversation using your voice and we can talk about some technology-ish topic or something related to stuff that we were just going through. DFlux says I will in a bit. Awesome. Mrs. is doing some vacuum stuff. Okay, so then while you are waiting for her to do that, I am going to take a quick gander at the issue that we were having where if we delete a lookup item and then re-add it, so for example, if I delete cache, then it is now marked as deleted. It's soft deleted in the database. I just did a refresh to prove that it's not held in state or anything. that it just didn't delete it from our local cache. So I do a soft delete in the database because there are accounts that are still associated with cache. So for example, cache on hand, the account type of that is cache. So if I delete the cache account type, then the delete rule, the foreign key constraint rule, would also delete any records or throw an exception if I have it to say don't delete if it's in use, etc., etc. Or it'll set the foreign key value to default, which again, the value would need to exist in the table. So again, more errors. So then what I want to be able to do then is if I type in the same name for an account and add it, then I want to reactivate it. Unfortunately, what it seems like it's doing is adding it to our cache again. I'm picking cache account, and what I mean by cache is we go to the server, get the list of account types, and then cache them in a list of account types that is held in state for this machine. But anyway, it's taking the one that already exists. Yeah, cache or cache. Taking the one that already exists and setting it to not deleted, but then also adding another copy of it to the list because it's a insert, it's an add event. And I thought we looked at that when we were first setting up the logic, and I would like that to not happen that way. So let's take a really quick look at this. This is going to be in state. Look up the state. As soon as we do the create lookup item, if there was a found item, then we add it to the, or then we unmark it as deleted, undelete it, disdelete it. Otherwise, we add it. And this might actually be where it's happening in this get lookup item logic. Aha. No, it's not. Because I was going to say, while it's getting the lookup item from the database, wait, why is it getting it from the database? I should be looking in local cache. Ah, okay, so this get lookup item here is actually doing a query and pulling it from the database. I don't want to get it from the database. I want to get it from here. From cache. So get lookup items of type lookup item. Good, we have it. Deleted. Dot first. And you're not in a wait, are you? Are you a task? You're not a task. Dot first or default. X dot value text. Equal to created. So look up. Resp dot return x dot record ID. Oh my gosh, I forget how to do this. To string maybe. Then we go if found item is not null, then set deleted back to false, otherwise add, oh, we have it here, lookup item, where we are updating. Okay, good. So we'll just do lookup item dot value text. I'm paying attention. Are you paying attention? Save. Paper or plastic? Paper or plastic? What? Paper or plastic? I know very, very few movie quotes, but that's one of them that stuck with me. Okay, so let's see if this fixes it. It should. Yeah. I also don't understand how the deleted flag is getting updated when I do this ad, because I'm assuming, nope, that would be wrong too. I honestly don't know why it was adding 2 still. No clue. Okay, delete cache, re-add cache with a capital C. I'm still getting 2. Adding the newly created lookup item to cache. Or is it cache? Okay. Updating deleted flag. Okay. So we will see some output. Oh yeah, by the way, I think I told you this story on Monday, but I don't remember because Monday was a long time ago and so much stuff has happened since then. But one of the things that contributed to the issues that I was, not the issues, but to the stress that I was having over Tuesday and Wednesday from not having internet, and then having to do this emergency release stuff, and then having to try to get a whole bunch of PRs done to fix the issues before we can even do them. Anyway, was that on Monday morning? I don't remember what day it was, but one of the days I got my replacement key for my keyboard, which, by the way, MX keys, like Logitech does not have spare keys for MX keys. So if I look up, I forget what the model number is. IR0073. If I look up the keyboard and I wanted to replace one key, it's $17.95 US per key. Because what was happening is the key, when I push it down, it would flip a little bit and then get stuck. So then I'd have to push the corner, and then it eventually got to the point where it just broke entirely. So then I tried to lift it up and remove it, and I found that the little clip thingy on the back of the key just broke. And so that's why I wasn't actually clipping onto the thing. So I got a new E-key for me, it was 16 bucks. Prices have changed, apparently. So I got a new key thinking this will be the only time I have to do this. But then my A key was starting to get loose in between the time I ordered that key and then when I received it. So my A key, I'm like, okay, this is just the same type of issue. Let me see if I can replace it with my insert key or something so that I wouldn't have to worry about it. So I took my insert key off, came over to my A key, and I took that off, and then I was cleaning it out a little bit. And so I put my A key in and then pushed it down, and it was still loose, and it was actually getting to be more loose. And so this is so dumb. I got my E key on whatever day it was, replaced it, so now it's nice and solid. It's a little bit different color, but that's fine. And then I was swapping out the A key for the insert key, And in doing so, I found out that this little pin, the clip that holds onto the bracket, was pushed back a little bit. So I tried to push it forward, and like a Neanderthal, instead of just pushing it forward, I broke it off. Because, yeah. So now, if I try to put the A key in there, the bottom right corner doesn't have anything to hold on to, so it just flips and gets loose and falls off. So now, this is what my keyboard looks like. That bright spot is the A key. And it looks just like this. So I'm just using the little rubber nub as the key, and it works. You'd be surprised at how easy it is to just push the little rubber nub, and it actually feels kind of nice too. But it's just weird because my fingers will get offset because I don't feel like I'm on home row. So anyway, I'm hoping to be able to find some way to replace this. This part here looks like it is all part of the rest of the keyboard. Free video installation guide. Yeah. It actually, and it's not even a link. It's not like they link to it either. It's hilarious. So it's $17.95 for the installation video. So anyway, I'm hoping to be able to just find something that I can use to put here and have it hold the key down, because that's all that it needs. The keyboard itself cost more than $100. It's so dumb. MX keys. $119. And you would think that with a keyboard that costs that much, you would be able to find replacement keys and all of the things that you need to repair whatever issues go on with the keyboard. But because of one key, one actual hardware piece that broke off, and they don't have spare parts or anything, they're essentially saying you're out of luck, you need to buy a new keyboard if you want to continue it. And I bought it 2 years ago and they have a 1-year warranty. I'm still going to try to contact support and everything, but it's so dumb. So dumb. That was just one more straw on the already too heavy pack of straws. All right, with that happy news out of the way, DFlux is in the waiting room. Are you ready to come into the stream room? I was born ready. Another one. All right. DFlux, everybody. Mic check,
Hey,
please.
microphone check 1, 2.
You are checked.
Beautiful. I'm going to turn down the stream. How are we doing?
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing magical.
Magical? I mean magical.
Yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good. We got a vacation next week.
But what is vacation?
So vacation is something that Europeans invented, that Americans hate to take when they are soulless beings.
Like me. It's not that I'm a soulless being, it's that I am the warmest robot. Or the, warmest robot.
Yeah. Well, so the missus actually got a new job, right? So she was like, "Well, I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice, and then I'm going to tell the new employer that I gave my 2 weeks notice a week later than when I actually gave the notice. So we have a week to go on vacation."
Cool. That's smart.
So yeah, we're running down. We're going to go visit like New York and Boston, and Maine, and a couple other places.
Tugasov says I'm on a forced vacation at the moment. Yeah, I kind of had, our client had some time where we weren't allowed to bill them. And so Sajetti was like, well, you need to take PTO. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm still a W-2 employee for you, so I don't have enough PTO for one, and for two, I would like to save my PTO for a time that I am ready to take time off. That was really annoying. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I know with our contract, and there's always those funky rules about when what's in the contract exactly and how they do that.
Oh, President, not sure I do. I don't like taking PTO because, unlike in other places, I'm assuming in other places, when you take PTO, you're expected to not be at the workplace and not be productive. But in America, if you take PTO, the work will still come in that you're supposed to be doing for that week, and you will still be expected to have that done by the time you get back. And so the stress of having leftover work when I'm on vacation and then needing to come back and then have double the amount of work that I would have. Yeah. Oh, that's how they discourage it. Okay, so that's what you meant. So yes, I agree with you then. So dumb.
And for me, it's like I don't have kids and I don't have these other things, and so like I can
Same.
take a week off to like fly somewhere, but you know, I'd like to move on with my career. You know what I mean? Why am I taking like months out of my life to like hang out in a hotel room? You know?
Right.
Oh, my gain is a little high. I'm gonna turn myself down. I can hear myself.
Yeah.
On the screen.
you were peaking a little bit there, but that's okay. Could also be my movie.
How do I? No, I'm still peaking a little bit on my. I have like a little yellow green indicator. Do I sound better?
Yeah, you sound much better. You don't have the
Good.
overload, whatever it's called.
Peaky thing, yeah.
Yeah, to avoid burnout, that's a good reason to have time away from work. So, clipping, thank you. You know what's weird though? I still have not experienced burnout the way that people say burnout happens. Like, I'm pretty sure I have experienced burnout, but I'm still like high functioning. It's kind of like when I used to drink a lot of alcohol, where I could still be productive and zone everything else out and still be pretty belligerent at other people, which was dumb. Don't do that. I would recommend not doing that. So anyway, I currently have a schedule where I work from 4:30 until 3:30 with a couple of breaks in between, and then during the stream I'm still doing programming or talking with you guys, but still doing something that requires thought. And then I go take another break, and then I'm back to doing programming from 5 or 6 until 9 o'clock, and then bed, and then wake up and do it again. And I just don't feel the same kind of exhaustion or desire to need a break. It's weird.
Well,
And
that's part of that is I think is games, right? Because like people would say, I want to take a break, and what they mean by that is I want to play like a more relaxing game, right?
Mhm.
In a way. So like I want to play the game of laying on the beach, or I want to play the game of whatever Call of Duty or whatever, right?
Okay.
And that's what they mean by taking a break. Often developing like stuff like side projects, that's often a really great single player game.
True. True.
So very often, like for me, if I get burnt out from Project A, the next best thing is Project B because I'm not even remotely burnt out on that. That's so much fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a good perspective on it. And yes, Zush, I do. Oh, also hi, Zush. I didn't say hi when you first came in. We were transitioning. What? But yes, I do. I wake up at around 4:22, 4:23, prepare my coffee, and then come downstairs, and I am either starting on my emails or continuing with whatever thing I left off for my work product. And then at 7:30 I take a 1 hour break to do exercise and hygiene, and then I come back and do work at 12:30 on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. You guys, or 10:30 Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. You guys know where I am typically. I'm here hanging out with you. And then 12:30 until 3:30 I'm back to working on the client project. 3:30 to, well, usually 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock to 5:30, 6 o'clock. I cook and eat dinner with my wife. And then we're back down here where I'm working on a separate project until we're done with the night on Monday through Friday. Weekends are still completely disconnected. Not really completely disconnected, but it's time where I am not working on anything, not doing programming, and just hanging out with my wife. And it's been pretty nice. But it's because I think that the enjoyment of doing software development is so big inside of me that it feels like I'm on a constant vacation, I guess. And hello, Navir. I meant to say hi to you too, but I was responding to Zish. So I guess that's a topic, like work-life balance. What are your thoughts on it then, DFlux? You've said some
So
of it, but I want
yeah, I
more.
mean, my thing is like my other side gigs. If I have spare time, I will fill them with my other side gigs.
Mhm.
So whether that's like the wedding stuff or the DJ stuff or whatever, it's usually that kind of stuff, live streaming stuff. And if I run out of things to do and there's no alcohol in the house, I'll stream on Twitch. But that really rarely happens.
Yeah, you should stream more often though. It's really cool. Your stuff is cool.
Yeah, I should really I should plan on it. But yeah.
Use that over alcohol or do both.
Right now, I'm having a conversation with the team lead about structuring the project.
Oh yeah.
Um, we finally got him sort of back onto the code. It's been a good year and 3 months.
Never drink while cutting. You'll create monsters.
So we're trying to get him sort of reintroduce the project, and we want to organize it a little bit differently because things have sort of gone a little bit crazy.
Mhm.
So we're sort of working that out. And I'm trying to explain the concept that you can have like an Azure Functions application, you can have a .NET 6 API, and then we're adding the modules in using that. Was it service extension, like the program.cs? So I'm explaining all that.
All right. Okay, so I found what my issue was is that the record that I was returning from my reactivate was not giving us the record ID back, so it wouldn't find it in the list, so okay, it's fixed now. But that's what I was talking about the Navir. And I'm gonna be kind of serious about this, even though I know you were joking, but I used to have a really, really big issue with drinking, and it was a way for me to deal with the social pressures of an office that I really didn't want to be in. I mean, I don't have any good excuses. They're all just excuses for it. But it was a bad time. So anyway, I still was able to consistently perform and get high ratings and have all of my deliverables completed on time and exceeding expectations with it. So, I mean, for some people, it feels like you're invincible if you can do that, but you really can't. I mean, yeah, it was still rough. Reg 9K. Have you told me how to pronounce your name? I don't know that. But said, I tell people my programming job and my hobby are the same thing. So they pay me for what I do for free. Exactly. Exactly. I agree with that. But DFlux, I know you're busy typing, so talk whenever you feel like talking. To go off of the topic that you just brought up, which is project structure essentially, um, one of the biggest issues that happened on Tuesday after the internet went out that I was struggling with so bad, that was the bulk of the straw that was weighing me down, was that we have our project split into 2 Git repositories. Oh, Reg, short for Reggie. Okay, I'll try to remember that. We have our project split into 2. We have all of our shared packages that could be modular and used in any other projects that generate NuGet packages, which is still tightly coupled with thank you, with others. And then we have the main application with the UI and all of the libraries that are directly in support of the main application in its own repository. The weird thing that we are doing is, even though the shared packages are generating NuGet packages, we have directory.build.props. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a directory build props file. I don't have one in here. But it's a way where you can specify CS proj settings, essentially, that will affect all of the projects either in the directory tree or directly for that solution. So anyway, in that directory.build.props, we specify the version of the shared packages. But that is also used in the main application. Oh, and by version, I mean, so every project for our main shared packages that generate NuGets get the same version number just by changing it in that directory build props. We use that same file in our main applications solution to say, here's what version of the NuGet packages the main project is using, which means for us, like, instead of having the projects listed here like this, or not projects, but package references listed like this, they're listed in this other file, so they are always matching our development package version. And if we have pushed to master and main of our shared packages, and we haven't built the new NuGet packages in our DevOps artifacts, then the main project will not build because it can't find the correct version in the DevOps artifacts. And so the build breaks, nobody in dev who pulled latest shared packages can build their dev anymore. And it's like, that makes zero sense. Why are we using shared packages like they are direct project references, essentially? That's my topic. I don't know if anyone could follow that, though. It's convoluted. It's dumb. This is the sound of silence.
Yeah. Sorry, yes, I'm back. I'm running back and forth between a few things. It's been a busy Friday. Really busy Friday, actually. Surprisingly busy Friday.
Has it been a productive busy Friday or just a spinning wheels busy Friday?
It's been a spinning wheels. I had a
Aw.
really weird SSL issue this past week with Azure Functions. So we tried to basically hit an on-premise server from Azure Functions over a VNet, so over like the VPN company VNet service, and we were getting SSL error, and we could not figure out. We uploaded like 10 different certificates to the Azure certificates pane, the way you handle all the certificates that you have, and for love nor money, it would constantly say, "I cannot have a secure SSL, connection." And it wasn't until someone from a different team said, "Have you tried putting more than one certificate together?" I'm like, "What does that even mean? I don't know." He's like, "Go to the website, go to the certificate tab, or go to like the certificate thing, go to the details, and it shows you like the chain of the certificate, so the intermediate and then the root. Export them, open them up in Notepad, put them all in one big text file. Well, there's only two, so put them both in one text file, and then save that as a CER file, upload that." And that worked, which I would never have thought of. So the fix basically was having the entire chain inside one certificate, as opposed to uploading 2 separate certificates for each leg of the chain.
I don't think I could follow that. But I'm glad that you were able to find a solution to it.
Yeah, because it was really annoying. Because I ran out of ideas. I was like, I have no clue. I have no clue. Because
Mhm.
as .NET developers, we aren't necessarily doing things like computer to computer identity. That's like,
Right.
but not beneath us in the sense that it's below us in terms of lower in the OSI
Yeah,
model.
it's
It
more
is
of
not something
a,
the application concerns itself with.
systems admin kind of thing.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm up in .NET here, and I don't have a specific system like in .NET to tell the computer use this certificate, don't use that one. But eventually we got it figured out. So
Thank you so much for the
most
follow,
of my week.
Sharkuni. But yeah, that's it. Definitely makes sense what you were, or no, it mostly made sense to me what you were saying. But as far as like, we aren't usually involved in doing server to server communication stuff, or at least configuring it and needing the certificates to be up to date. That is right,
Right.
except for some things that a lot of developers have been needing to be a part of more often are the DevOps pipelines and being the ones to create and maintain them, as opposed to having someone that specializes in doing that. Because developers are now being expected to be truly full stack, to include server maintenance and DevOps and stuff. But anyway, we actually had, that was another issue that came up while the internet was out, was the builds were suddenly starting to fail after we got them fixed, like almost immediately after I published the fix for the issues that were happening. The PR build was successful, and then I did another change, and that build failed from then on. And it's because our PATs had just expired for all of our external NIGIT.
I think I remember the stream when that happened.
Well, I mean, this was also just on Tuesday.
I was when you said
But
that, I
that
was
one,
remembering way back.
yeah, the one that you're talking about, that one was even worse. Oh my gosh. It was like 4 different feeds that we have pads for that all expired.
Yeah. So now what I'm doing, I'm going in. It's like one of the things I had the problem with. I don't know. There's like a long list of things we need to do in order to like make our application organized and nice looking, and they never get done.
Right. Because there's never time. You always have a new feature or a new bug to work on. And making the app maintainable is not top priority. Is it like that for you?
Basically, yeah. So, so we did end up, not myself, one of my colleagues, end up coming up with a fancy solution I spoke to about a while ago, and so he's using concurrent bags inside a singleton, and I'm like, well, that's a good solution, but we're still like injecting singletons into our scoped API endpoints, and I'm like, I would love to make these things like rather than having singletons, use scoped because that would resolve primarily the issue that I don't know if you remember, this was a while ago.
Yeah, no, I remember, but it wouldn't make sense to use anything other than singleton in that case, because that data is being shared across all of them, all of the sessions, right?
So yeah, no. So what our code does, it like goes to like 10 different places, pulls that stuff in, does some calculations, and then replies to the UI basically. So we have that code inside singletons, but we don't need to like hold it, right? Each time we get a new request, we do a complete recalculation again.
Yeah, so since you're doing the calculation anyway, why not
Right.
just have that be the object instead of some kind of shared singleton object?
Yeah, so that's what I gotta see if I can figure out to move that stuff outside of the singleton and only the storage stuff that we have to. There are a few things we have to hold on to. Only that storage stuff then goes into the singleton. But if you inject a scope, you can't inject a scope into a singleton, though, can you?
You can inject scoped into singleton, but you can inject singleton into scoped. Correct. You can, like, if you think about it from a stacked way, you have transient singleton, or transient scoped singleton, and you can only inject at the lowest whatever. So singleton is on top, you can't inject anything else into it. Gosh, what am I trying to say? Is that right? Oh, now you got me questioning myself. If you have a singleton, you cannot inject scoped things or transient things into it. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, I might have to do some.
I was confident about it, and then I was like,
okay. Yep. Organizing the code nicely.
anyway, my intuition is telling me, even though I'm not going to be able to find a concrete one on stream because I just won't be able to read anything, is that when you think about it as singleton, scope, transient, then singleton, you can't inject scoped or transient. Scoped, you can inject singleton, transient, or maybe it's singleton, transient, scoped. Whatever. I don't know. It's a thing to interwebs. However, I'm trying to figure out what the deal. What the deal? Why did I leave that like that? That's disgusting. Yeah, I want to see what list items looks like before and after. And I'll do it like this. We'll enumerate it here. I write it out as an object. Will you serialize for me if I do this?
But in other news, I got me a so we're going on vacation, right? And this is the first vacation since we got the house. So I'm like, well, I need to put a camera on the house before you go on vacation. Isn't that the rule now? It's 2023. You're supposed to see your delivery driver throw things at you. You're not supposed to like not know that it's been thrown.
Wait, say that again? I was reading a question at the same time.
That's all right. I was saying I got a camera on the front of my house now since we're going on vacation. I was like, I need a camera because it's 2023 and you're supposed to see the people throw your food stuff around.
Yeah.
Your food,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
So I have that ability now to do that. Synology, I don't know if you ever use Synology NAS. I have a little Synology NAS that sort of backs up my OneDrive and my photos and stuff.
No, I haven't used it, but I know I can understand what it is.
Yeah, it's really, really nifty. And they have a really cool surveillance party thing, part of their thing. And it's really professional. Like, so I grabbed a camera, plugged it into the Wi-Fi, ran an Ethernet wire 100 feet of it around the house so no one can see it. and it does all like the AI stuff and like detects people and all this shit. It's really all this stuff. Sorry.
Don't apologize. Use whatever language you're using.
Well, I gotta that's something I gotta get better at. But in general, at work, they're like, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, I said this before, but the vocabulary that you use is just the vocabulary that you use. If you want to use stuff in place of shit, then yeah. It's just they both mean the same thing in that context. It's just people are offended by the curse word. So that's why I choose not to use it very often.
What's the phrase that I always like to say? Offense if it isn't given, it's taken.
Ah. Yeah, and I'm still mindful of that. It's like there are people that do take offense to things like that. So I have other vocabulary that I could use that is generally accepted as non-offensive. So why not just use that vocabulary? But that's not to say you aren't allowed to use whatever languages you use. Real quick, so Raid001 was asking, why am I not using the debugger instead of, or why am I using console writes in console write line instead of the debugger? At the moment, what I am doing is taking my best guess at what is going on using intuition and just trying to identify the location that it's happening. So I'm using console write lines because of hot reload. I can just add a console write line and then hot reload lets me get the information. Of course you can. Yes. But if I get to a point where I need to inspect the variables in a better way, then I will use the full debugger. It's just that it's not great when it comes to Blazor WebAssembly and even sometimes when using Blazor server. Hello, Peter.
Hey.
Mojo says I'm almost here. I wasn't able to read your Discord message yet, Mojo.
Hey, it's live coding. Good to see you. I have too many windows open. The boys are back in town.
Excellent. Excellent. I have a question. Are you ready?
Yes. I am not ready because I'm looking for this message from Mojo that he pinged me, but I already went away from it and I wanted to respond. And then I'll be ready.
Can I see history in chat? Nope.
No, it was in Discord that he sent the message where he's like, I'm almost there. That was the only part that I was able to read. Because I can't really read stuff while I'm streaming unless it's short phrases like what's in chat. And then, even then, I read them out loud so that I can actually understand what they're saying. And then don't forget the chat question. Yeah, I answered it though, didn't I? About not using the debugger. All right, I'm almost here. I have to wrap up like 2 things and then I can turn my sound on. Okay, so that's what he said. Okay, now I'm ready for you, Peter.
Containers. So, oh no, I'm thinking about doing a talk in real life public about containers. What, how do I say this? Have y'all looked into running things locally? Like running SQL Server locally would be an example. Yeah. Through a container.
Through a container. No.
Yeah, this is one of the topics. Well, I've installed, what is it, that Docker, right? And and every time I turn my computer on and I log in, I get the message that Docker has been disabled. Do you want to enable it? And I always hit quit. But I'm told it's really a great thing.
No, I mean, it's more, I mean, my last team, we were a giant team, had a constant churn of people, and it was useful to have stuff running locally, but that predated my knowledge of Docker. And then, so we had all these like scripts to install SQL Server and, you know, get our 8 apps running at the same time, and that would have been a perfect use of Docker. Anyway, just curious.
Azure last year came out with a brand new Docker project. Are you going to be talking about the new Azure Docker container project? Sorry.
If I do a thing on it, I will have to look into all of these details. I'm aware of that thing, and it looked amazing. It looked perfect. It looked like exactly what I wanted, and I'd have to look at all the little details because obviously I've never tried it because we predated that. Funny enough, we started using containers before that existed, and now that it exists, it's like, why move?
Right. Well, that's where I'm at right now. I use like the .NET Azure App Container and Azure App Container is where I have my apps, and that's like the container I use. And now they have this new Azure Container app. What did I just say before?
You said app container, which maybe you mean
Azure App Service. Yes, there you go. So I was very interested to see, and I just never had time to see what is so new about the Azure container thing. Links, docs in chat.
Yeah. And I will try and avoid talking about Azure too much, but I will hint that, maybe I'll give a 5-minute. My talks tend to be like 3-hour talks, and what I end up doing, this is the thing though, I understand that naturally it is a 3-hour talk, so what I do is I take huge notes and I give them as handouts, and then I just skip whole sections, and then we end on time. So I'm one of the few speakers who will end on time, just because I give up on covering everything. I'm like, I covered it. Or whatever. It's in the sheet of paper if you want to look it up. That's what I intended to say. So the 3 people who care about something can refer to the sheet or talk to me after. And so I don't go over. I literally attended an Azure user group. I guess I'm doxing. Anyway, just you can identify where I'm from and which one it was. But anyway, it went 2 hours. It was brutal. So it was a 2-hour lecture. So don't do that to your people. There we go. That's all I have.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the closest that I have of any kind of container experience was I downloaded the Azure emulator.
Oh, for Azure Storage?
Yeah, Azure Storage emulator.
Yeah.
And tried it a couple times, connected to it, got it to work. And I assume that doing containers is similar, where it gets its own either port or some kind of listener for your local Docker or for your local container.
You must choose to expose a port, but yes. If you choose to do that, then yeah. Actually, these are all the details that I'm fuzzy on, because I know how to use them, but I don't actually know the underlying. I've never read a book. So, how do you expose a port via Docker? I know the way to explicitly do it, but I think there's a way that the container itself tells you which port it's going to expose. There's a lot of... Anyway, I should research before I start talking. But in summary, we do use containers.
What I was about to say there is, I'm trying to avoid Docker.
Yeah.
Because there are other container solutions that seem to entirely sidestep this one and all this fix that everyone loves. So everyone gets Docker and goes, oh great, let's go ahead and spin up Kubernetes, and then let's just put a bunch of stuff in the cloud, and everybody's happy. And it's like, no. We need to have a PaaS solution, and a PaaS solution involves going to the provider and asking the provider, how can you best serve me? It's not about having obfuscation layers so thick it can run on anything. That's not a real solution to me.
I hear you. I think I understand, because this is a work argument you're having with us now that you're revisiting. I've had that work argument, and yes, if people who want to make their stuff what if we need to run it on-prem? And you're like, but we don't. We're running in Azure. You're like, what if we want to move to Amazon? You're like, well, we don't yet.
Well, and that's one of the things. And perhaps it's unique to .NET, but .NET we can run on AWS just fine. We can run on Google Cloud just fine. We can run on Azure just fine. That we're already pretty containerized as a. It's just a matter of DevOps, right? It's a matter of constructing the YARN file, not the YARN, YML file.
YAML.
The Azure, what's it called? GitHub Action appropriately for which endpoint you're going to. It shouldn't be, for me at least, this is my opinion, and this is actually something I have discussed at work. Fortunately, no one's ever mentioned Docker on my team so far. Touch wood. But I see it on other teams in the company, and I've seen that around town, is that everyone goes, let's just go ahead and build such a massive abstraction that the actual code has no clue if it's running on-prem, in the cloud, or in Google servers, or in a basement. And it's like, no, you should care, and you should tailor the code to work precisely and exactly with the vendor you have in mind. And you should be able to, in .NET we can do this, where you sort of just build out a library, put things in the library, and then Monday it runs on-prem, Tuesday it runs in the cloud, and it's perfectly fine. We don't need to spit up a Linux VM in order to do that.
Oh, it's all good. I'm with you. Anyway, what was the other question? All right. First of all, it was off with saying, yeah, runs in Docker. When I just say containers, I'm just trying to avoid the word Docker because of Docker
Right,
code, which
exactly.
I guess I
It's a
also
specific
need to talk.
brand,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
We
no,
need
no,
to
not
cover
even.
that too. I get in the dirty parts of a talk. I'll talk about, yeah, Docker Corp. Here's what happened. It'll have 2 slides on it. So
Oh, nice.
you can
Yeah,
use
'cause
Docker Corp. You can use Docker Desktop. It's still the best unless you work for a big company, in which case it's probably too much of a hassle to buy it. So there you go. There's your summary. I got the summary.
There we go. Nice, nice.
Summary.
But yeah,
about the
yeah.
summary.
If I see someone do a talk on containers, and all they do is talk about Docker, they should rename the talk to yet another talk about Docker.
Oh, good. That's another thing I need to research is if I'm going to actually try and get something like Rancher Desktop working, or just give up and just present using Docker Desktop. It really is so convenient, Docker Desktop. And all those other ones, Podman Desktop and Rancher Desktop, have little details that make them a little more difficult to use. Anyway.
Right, but yeah. I mean, but you get what I'm saying. Avoid that entirely.
Well,
So, really quick, I'm going to interrupt just for 2 seconds. Don't drop your thought. Make sure you hold on to it. Raid, this is one of the reasons that I don't use the debugger when doing Blazor debugging, when I'm debugging components.
Looking at screen.
Anyway, go ahead.
Reload can't automatically apply. Oh, we can have
All
that
I was trying to do
whole
was take a
discussion,
step. I was just trying to take a step without modifying any of the code, and it's trying to do hot reload stuff.
Oh, so debugger with hot reload is kind of a tough thing, I guess.
Probably.
And then, by the way, debugger has their own, like, you can, whatever. Everyone has their own workflow. I don't.
Yeah, hot reload works perfectly for me because I use .NET Watch. And that I don't have any issues with.
Nice.
Well, that, and I think just important to point out here is that you're not throwing in a bunch of component libraries that breaks
Right, it's all
hot
my
reload.
own homebrew
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. I have found there are certain very popular libraries out there, component libraries that break hot reload, and there's a disconnect on whose job it is to fix it. Everyone says Microsoft should fix it, and then they're like, well, why doesn't the vendor that made this shit that's broken fix it?
Yeah, that feels I'll judge. It's the vendor's fault.
Mojo said he's finally out of finally out of the weeds.
So, okay, here's the second related question.
Yes.
How many of y'all have done a .NET Framework to .NET Core migration? Now, or let me actually, how did you handle getting from .NET Framework to .NET Core?
Been like
Go for
80 of those.
Yeah. So you're speaking to like the chief. Like I defer to one lion. He knows everything about this on this topic. Don't even.
It was a rewrite though, right? Like you took some
No.
of the code, but it was
No.
Oh.
Ooh, hush, stomach.
Like when I was back when One Line started streaming, he would do like what my team of 8 does in a year. He would do in a quarter by himself, whilst on Twitch streaming.
It was fun.
Yeah.
That's
what gave him the performance boost.
I want to go back to it, but okay. Not only did we go from .NET well, first it was I guess you're right. It was JSP rewrite to .NET Framework. Oh, yeah, and I'm going to pull Mojo in too. So JSP to .NET, something .NET, and at the time it was .NET Framework. But then .NET Core 3 came out with Blazor, and I'm like, you know what? These projects would be great for Blazor, so let's go from .NET Framework 4.7.2 to .NET Core. And that was the next one, not Blazor. It was just .NET Framework 4.7.2 to .NET Core, MVC applications, and yeah. So that was the first step. And there really was a lot of rewriting code so that I changed it from having all of the logic in controllers, because it felt like it was standard practice to put all of your logic in controllers for whatever the process is so that you can generate the data for your view when you're doing MVC specifically.
Yep.
And then I'm like, why not make services that it doesn't matter who is calling it, it's going to do the work for you and then just provide that back. And so that was my first step, was separating all of the logic out of the controllers. But there was very little to do with like anything specific to the .NET Framework to .NET Core conversion, except for finding updated packages and project structure. And never mind, there was a lot. What was your
Yeah, I
question
was
about
going to
it?
say, there's not much except for completely rebuilding ASP.NET.
Yeah. Oh, and the setup. From my VB6 to VB.NET WinForms, and then from WinForms to WinForms in .NET Framework to WinForms in .NET Core.
This is. Okay? Let me ask it this way: do you ever find, or do you ever find .NET libraries or NuGet packages that are Windows only? So this will be part of my talk if I have to cover it.
I've got one. I would love to not be Windows only, but it is Windows only.
Is it actually Windows only, or is it just .NET Framework? Because we have a .NET Framework one that we use on our website, and we set whatever NuGet warning to disable, and it just happily uses that DLL, even though technically it's a .NET Framework one.
So this is something that came from Windows XP, and it's their voice synthesizer feature.
Okay, yeah, that's what it does.
I think it predates. Yeah, I think it predates XP as well. And so they have it. I think. I think now it's .NET 6, but it certainly doesn't work on Linux or Mac or Android or whatever. It only works.
Yeah, it has OS dependent. That's fine. Right. If that's it, then I'm happy. I'm always looking for anecdotes. So anyway.
So the workaround is to change language entirely.
Okay.
Because there is a bunch of .NET Core solutions that work on Android, iPhone, or whatever else. However, they involve some sort of cloud service and some sort of fee for the conversion. And the best documentation I've found for like writing multi-platform sound-related text-to-speech conversion is in Python. So I have now Ion Python in the project, and I take Python into my Android app with me.
Nice. Iron Python user. All right, that's all. I won't talk about containers anymore unless someone else brings it up. Mojo, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, Mojo.
How's everybody doing? I actually kind of want to hear more containers, but you know.
Yeah, I have something. I know about containers.
But also .NET Framework to .NET Core, because that's coming up for us to start working on where I'm at. However,
oh really?
Just real quick, I do have a question more relevant or for a shorter time frame. And then we can talk about
go ahead with
Framework to
your
Core.
Yeah.
So I'm scared that just looking at code the answer will be just look at other code forehead, but when it comes to best practices or for things that are common, such as handling terms and conditions, for context, we're implementing a PNC check, and there may not be agreement on the method to handle it, and unfortunately it requires both of us to do the work. So I'm trying to figure out where to go to research possible ways, and again, that's why my concern is just read other code forehead. So basically, like, how do we store yes or no in the database? And I was trying to make sure it was scalable. So if we change terms and conditions, basically have it whatever's in the database say like yes, they like what's it called? Yes, like they agree to like terms and conditions with this ID, but when this updates, like they'll have to do it again. So I wanted to link it that way rather than having just like a true or false, for instance. Anyway, there's disagreement. I am interested because in are there places to go to research this specific? There's things like this to research practices, rather than asking people how they would handle it.
I think asking people. I don't think you're gonna. You will find a database with the same pattern. Just how can you phrase your question such that you can find someone else's sample code and or database?
Okay.
So you're saying like they agree to terms of terms of service V1. Let's call it V1.
Yeah.
Or version of today, 2023 0721. So they agree to that version, and you're saying at a later date you would want to know whether they had agreed to the one
V2
on 721, or and then when you potentially you want to make this forward compatible when they agree to V2, then you would want the one in December of this year.
Yeah. So when I like talked through the logic, that was like it was essentially that. Okay. But like that and the reason like there's a disagreement and like we need to agree is primarily because like I'm not doing the database side.
Oh.
So
nice.
I can have all the logic and like, do we need to log them out? Well, we can't log them out per se because we have some SSO clients and we'd have to send them back and stuff like that. But yes, I wanted to make it specific. I wanted to make sure we relate it to the current version, and then I guess just future proofing it as much as we can. And the question I was asked is like, well, how often like do we plan on having them change? And I was like, I don't have that answer. But if it does change, how are we resetting everyone to do this again? So like if we just do it this way, then like we don't have to worry about resetting everyone because even if it doesn't change, like it's no big deal. But if it does change, we don't have to worry about it in the future.
So one thing, I have something a little similar, but dissimilar, in that I have a marketing campaigns via SMS for some of our customers, and so we want to track which customers went through which marketing campaigns and if they were completed, which is a lot more to track than a yes or no terms and conditions.
Right.
But if there were a change in the terms and conditions, I would use that same sort of market, and that's not specific. That's what I use it for. It's just called a wave, and I track which waves a user has been through. And so, have you been through wave X, which is the terms and conditions change, yes or no? And that's how I track it. And so, it's not specific to terms and conditions. It's just I use it for primarily marketing, but I could use it for when did the user want a bunch of stuff. So I just have a wave, and I'm using Entity Framework, and so I have control over my database. So it might be something a little bit different to like manually writing stored procedures. But for me, it was very easy to set up and didn't take a lot of work, and I was able to do what I needed to do with it.
Okay.
And then my way in on that, because you start talking about how to structure data in a database to track things, then I'm instantly thinking of what would be a good approach for having some kind of user ID and then version number for TOS, if that's what you're tracking, and then agreed or disagreed, opt-in, opt-out, whatever. So I would have a separate related table to either user or TOS or both. That is the way that I relate them together. So a separate relational table if you're using relational databases.
Okay. Yeah. No, everything's in SQL and it's just okay. But so while that is my like reason, my bigger question was just like when it comes to these, like so in other things, in other careers in my life, like research papers are easy to find. I don't think there's research papers for something like this, but I feel like there are standardized methods.
I don't think there is.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I wouldn't think of anything like that.
I think you will find a pattern that is identical if you look long enough. It's just,
Okay.
how do I even, we don't have a name for this pattern.
Right.
Actually, we might, but like,
Okay.
if you look at enough code samples of .NET apps, or even, I mean, we're talking SQL, right? So
Yeah.
you'll find very similar things eventually, but who knows how long that'll take. It's quicker to build it.
But yeah, I would think about genericizing it to rather than worrying about like terms and conditions. I would just genericize it to like post login tasks
Okay.
that have to run. That's how I would think about it. And obviously, if there's an updated terms and conditions every time you log in, well, then you got to agree to those terms and conditions.
Mhm.
And I would just do it as like, you know, maybe when someone logs in, they got to change their password. Well, then you'd fire it there, or maybe they've got an alert they have to like, you know, go to whatever. Then you can do that there. And I would just genericize it out and don't think about it as terms and conditions. I would just think about it of a step that you have to do post login.
Okay. Okay. And then I
Is
don't
that
know
bad?
how to handle. Well, I still don't know how to handle if they say no. Only because like we do have some SSO. Like sometimes we integrate and have SSO.
me ask
We
it
work in
this way.
education, so it's LMS system, so like Canvas,
Okay, LMS.
Moodle, Blackboard, things like that.
So y'all have SSOs that integrate, and you also have username password authentication. Is this ASP.NET Core?
This is framework 4 point something.
7 probably. That's everyone's favorite to
6
stick
or 8.
on.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of using Windows, so I'm glad we're finally making the transition.
If you're still on .NET Framework, you're away
Yeah.
from the transition.
Well, yeah. So that's why well, sorry, that is not why we are transitioning. However, that's why I'm looking forward to the transition.
Right,
I'm sure I'll
first of
run
all,
into other issues.
I was going to tell you their ASP.NET authentication and identity or whatever words they use, the stuff that handles authentication has a hook that would be perfect for you, and I don't know what that is, and you don't know what that is. I was going to tell you, you can do this with like adding a claim, a required claim called like
great idea.
like approve, because this would happen once per. You could either intercept them every single time they make a call to your ASP.NET website, which is horrible, but maybe it's going to happen. Look, don't rule it out. You can either have it check every time they hit your website and say, have they agreed to terms and conditions? Or a better way is when they go to log in, whether it's SSO or otherwise, there will be a hook deep in the bowels of ASP.NET that you could hook into that says, I want to check if they have
policy
approved the terms.
Yeah, it's
And
like
this
policy, right? That's what I'm about to say.
Is it a policy? All right. See, I don't know the words.
Well,
I just know
so
it exists.
there's.
Go for it.
I don't know if we have to. If I need to look up if I need to add both. One, there is going to be a privacy policy. There is going to be a terms and conditions. How to handle both. I'm not sure if they have to be the same. I know with at least with one of them, instead of just giving them a big button to hit that says accept, and making sure, like, instead of that, we actually have to like give them an unchecked checkbox, so it's intentional that they click it and then hit accept.
Yeah, there's all sorts of hooks that can redirect them to the opt-in page or whatever.
I mean, it does depend. I know, again, I don't do ASP framework stuff. Everything I've done is core and above. And so for me, I'm like, if someone came to me, there would just be a very simple group that my users will be in, and on the endpoint it'll be coded where you have to be in that group in order to hit this endpoint. And if you get a 401 unauthorized, redirect to the page where you can get access to like whatever it would be, in your case a terms and conditions. So you can't hit the API endpoint until, now this is because I'm using a Spark, right? So I'm using a service, a single page application, Blazor or Angular. And so for me, I can do that. At least I haven't got an implementation of that right now in my current app that I'm thinking of. But if someone came to me and says, I want to make sure none of the users can use your app unless they agree to these terms, then I would immediately say, no problem, we'll add a group, and all the users that agree to the term get put in the group. and then I just coat the endpoints with authorization. This we're not talking about not authentication. We're talking about authorization.
Right.
And so I would add that authorization layer to the API endpoints and say, in order to use this controller, you must be in this group. That's how I would do it in .NET 6, .NET 7, .NET 8. I don't know how you would do that in before.
It's easier for us here because we have, like in Blazor especially, we have this authentication state provider that can read the claims that's on the currently logged in user. So it'll hit this component first, and then if it sees you don't meet this policy of having accepted the terms and conditions or policy, whatever, then it can redirect using the component.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about Blazor. The one I'm thinking of is Angular and Azure Functions, but
this is without even, this is using the same authorization attribute essentially that you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, and we're using the MSAL library in Angular, which has the covalent, the Angular implementation of the same thing.
I want to say really quick, also, everyone who investigates ASP.NET authentication goes completely insane. So I will also point out, as a dirty hack, you can also do this in a cookie. And I'm not saying an unsecure hack. So if you do a cookie called they accepted equals true, that's not secure because in theory your users can add the cookie themselves. So you can encrypt that cookie and verify that the encrypted cookie is correct. And it can't be a hard-coded encrypted string. It would have to be I'm just telling you, I'm giving you an option that just says if they have this cookie, which I can read on the server side, they can and they're allowed through. That would also work. That's what we call middleware. I'm joking because it's like kind of dirty. But this is called getting it done and moving on. Especially if you're about to migrate projects, you might want to talk it over like, hey, we can do this securely in a cookie. And, maybe you can even store it in the ASP.NET cookie if you're back on old framework. Y'all might even already have a cookie. Anyway, just keep it in mind. But then, like, little weird things happen. Like, if y'all do AJAX calls, you have to, like, set everything as with cookie true. All right. President Not Sure says, is that why I've gone insane? Good to know. Yes, everyone who touches ASP.NET identity.
Like, if you are already using ASP.NET identity in any way, then I think claims are a great approach. I think that was a great suggestion. Implementing custom claims though is another task. So like one consideration to make is, let's say you do get your claims set up so that you can actually add custom claims. You now have this thing where you're updating a claim after the user has already logged in. So if they have just finished logging in, and then you're saying, well, they haven't agreed to this current version of the TOS, so we need to present them with that. And then they check the box, they click agree, then you essentially need them to have a re-login process so that their new token is encrypted using the new claim, the new value for that claim. You can't just update a claim in the token, because that invalidates it.
Yeah, and I think I in terms of like custom claims, there's something I've looked into before myself, and I opted out of it in favor of groups, right? Because groups are in effect very similar in effect, because the group is carried with the claim as part of the traditional claim that you don't have to, like,
but you still would need to somehow log them out and log them back in so that they show as being in that group with their new token.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, that's a really good question. You'd have to, like, there is a way to trigger go get a new token. Like when you expire the token, it goes gets a new one, and that new one should then get the updated groups. I would assume this is that falling outside of my experience, so I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I haven't used refresh token yet, and I've been needing to set that up, but it would be similar to using a refresh token. I think you're right. But anyway, that would probably be the probably best practice approach, which is to use claims to know whether they have done various user level specific things. And then the other approach is to have a database table that stores user ID, current version of whatever it is that they need to agree with or not.
Yeah.
And then the value of whether they agreed to it or not.
Gotcha.
Oh, he doesn't control the external. The database is happening. I was saying hack the Gibson somehow to have ASP.NET Identity add the claim itself through middleware. Like, and see, this is where it gets super weird, because I would assume the database could, like, he's saying they use SSO, they use different user logins. They don't control all the systems, all the claims coming in. So he would have to. Yeah.
I have to make sure. Yeah, I don't know. So we have to fit into like an LTI standard for this for our SSO. And I don't know if they have any rules on things, but I know I've written down a lot of things to look up, and I can go from there. But you guys, the amount of times people said, well, if you were an ASP.NET Core,
If you're an ASP Core.
Are there not like framework solutions for
They
these?
most likely are, but we've
They
been so
changed
far
it.
removed from it.
Yeah, they changed. I don't know either one, but I know that they changed it heavily between ASP.NET Framework and ASP.NET Core.
I don't know necessarily that they changed it, but only one line. I'm so far removed from it. From when I say removed, I joined this career post framework, so it's like predates me as a human being.
I also joined this career post framework, but
Yeah,
I hopped into the framework.
Right. You've had to
But,
learn it
right.
because you're currently using it.
right. And say my solution that I was talking about there is like I have experience with Azure Active Directory or the on-prem Active Directory, the legacy, the version of that, and so I assumed that. But it really does depend on how easy it is for you to integrate from your project that's running in the API into what the SSO layer actually is.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys are using, something out of WordPress or what. I don't know.
No, everything was made MVC on our end, and then the integrations with like the learning management system that schools use.
Moodle, right?
Yeah, Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas. I think
Yeah,
that
to me,
should be-
Moodle is very PHP, very WordPress-esque to me.
Mhm.
And
I don't know.
I'm staying quiet
Oh.
for all of those because I have no idea what those technologies are.
Have you ever done AWS cloud training? Okay, they use Canvas. That's the only reason I brought it up. They teach people the AWS stuff on Canvas. But is there? So I haven't ran into anything where current documentation where something doesn't work that I'm learning, or that I'm trying to figure out with the .NET Core documentation. Where are like high level? We don't need to like get into the specifics, but like where do the differences lie between?
Well, so one
Or
great
framework.
thing is when you're looking at the docs, at the top left of every Microsoft documentation, there's a little drop down where you put in your framework that you're on. So you can actually go to like some authentication authorization page that has the docs, and then simply change what version you're on, and you'll see the alternative code approach.
I don't think
It's
when
not
you-
available for all of it, but it's available for
Yeah.
most of it.
Yeah, but like from framework, because like I was doing that when you guys were talking about, I saw some like authorization, like some of the Microsoft Learn things. I think they're like when it says like number 7 through number 1, I think that's still all core, and I can't. There's no like flip for framework. So their 4.0 I don't think is core. I could be wrong. I don't
like,
know where the difference
You're
is.
talking
Right
about
there.
this here. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
all
that guy right
core.
there. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all core.
definitely. Because it would say framework in it.
like I'm on the HTTP client class, and I'm looking at the differences between the framework 4.72 with
so that we could see it on
8.
screen too.
I can link it.
But as far as like general logic, structure, syntax, most things are the same.
And that's
Is it
what I
just
was kind of looking for you.
Oh,
So I mean, tangentially, what is the actual distinction? .NET Framework is Windows orientated and it's come from the abstraction layer born out of Windows XP's HAL hardware abstraction layer. .NET Core isn't Windows related. It's just to do with .NET and running .NET in things like Linux, on your phone, whatever, or any endpoint. And so it's not specific to Windows. That's the actual tangential difference between those two technologies. As for code differences, it really depends what thing you're doing.
okay.
But that's the distinguishing factor. If it's only can run on Windows, then it's probably .NET Framework. If it can run anywhere, then it's .NET Core.
Right. Okay. Yeah. There's just something that makes like you can't just hit the switch to say, hey, now do .NET Core without running into issues. And I guess it's whatever like what is causing that. Is it how you the syntax as far as like how you structure something, or is it something like deeper that's just like in all the packages?
Transgentle is the word I was saying, chat.
Are you thinking maybe transcendental?
Yeah, probably.
No. That's maybe not it.
Relating to along a tangent. Tangential. There you go.
Oh, tangential.
There you go.
We'll delete
English.
the blog afterwards. That's
too funny. But sorry.
No, he was saying it the right way. He was saying it the British way, which is correct.
Yeah.
So anything that he says that's a word that we don't understand or we use it differently, he's correct. Just remember that.
I heard the extra U in there.
But yeah, just real quick, I did bring up the screen so that you could see what it looks like when you do have the .NET Framework drop down for a given class.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I actually yesterday was using HTTP client, so like everything was working fine as I needed it to.
But in terms of migration, there are tools out there. AWS produces a nice tool, and Windows has their own tool, and you can run on your project and tell users like, well, this package, this DLL is different now, and it will tell you a little bit about it. And then from there, you can look at how complex it would be to migrate from one to the other.
Will it also break it up into containers from a monolith all at the same time?
No, don't even do that. All right, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to try and break it up. No one's allowed to break
What if we just like
up.
rewrote the whole thing,
Added
just built it from the ground up?
Well, that's what everyone ends up doing because it's too hard to migrate. But
I mean, like I didn't. So really, yeah, it really was just a matter of taking stock of all of your, I guess, classes and everything that are making up the core of the project, and pulling those out, and really you're just copying and pasting code over. So there might be some structure changes that you can do while migrating, but for the most part, you're using a lot of the same code. And then where you find issues, that's when you're updating that piece of code. So like for me, for this specific project here, the R-Track one, it was .NET Framework, like I said before, and I was using this Excel data reader, which I believe is very specific to Windows only projects. You need .NET Framework. Even if you used a .NET Standard, it didn't work with anything other than .NET Framework. And I needed a different package for it, which CSV Helper is great for that.
Right.
Did the same thing.
But since you're on the Nugget page, if you do go to the Nugget website, you can look at each package and it tells you exactly what it's compatible with. That .NET Standard is like a go-between, but it doesn't always work as well. Can I shout out another streamer on your stream?
Yeah, are you like if you start streaming, I can start.
No. I'm shouting out. I want to shout out Setlix because
shout out. Yes, absolutely. Always.
Yeah. He's converting his .NET Framework console application, which is his Twitch integration for his stream, to .NET from .NET Framework to .NET Core, and so he's going through that story right now. We ran the tool on his project, and it turned out he didn't have anything that was framework dependent, that didn't have a .NET Core compatible Nugget package, and so his is just more or less changing the standard and then moving that code across, copy and pasting everything, and testing it out.
Right.
But
yeah, and same
if he
thing
had
with Thindle as well.
I know we at least have something with the shared blob storage. And I don't know why I know that, but I know there's at least one package that isn't the same.
Azure Blob Storage, yeah, you're going to have to upgrade to a new package that does the same thing, but it's not a big deal.
Okay.
So it is a new package. You will have to change like 2 lines of code very carefully. So
that's a great analogy right there. I like that. 2 lines of code very carefully.
Yeah. Or not carefully if you're me. I will also say, by the way, you can upgrade projects in place. The only thing that really doesn't upgrade is if you do some crazy things in ASP.NET Framework, you will have to find, they have a new underlying pipeline, whatever the old Owen pipeline. If you see a lot of Owen in your code base, you're going to have to do some
like
work.
the first name? Oh, with an I.
Oh, I'm saying going, but like we actually on our giant, I think we're up to 140 projects on our monolith. Our main guy, he did an amazing job. He converted our non-website, non-exe files, like basically all the libraries. Like, actually, go to one. Can you show me your project list? Or oh, you have that. Okay, so anything that is not the main project, which I think you literally have only the main project. Just assume there's 100 projects there.
All right, so let's say it's my Blazor one that has 1,000.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
That?
And which one is the actual Blazor? Like,
server.
I think Blazor.
So
Blazor
this one
server.
launches the app.
So the rest are just libraries, right?
Well, these 2. So this is launching the app as Blazor server. This is launching the app as Blazor wasm.
Okay, my bad. So I'm just going to focus on the ones.
But yes, everything else is libraries. Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever. He converted all the libraries to .NET Standard, and that took forever. Actually, step 1 was we took the old .NET Framework projects, the CS Proj files, and we converted them to the new CS Proj stuff.
That is.
And the big, you can even let me actually cut that in half. We didn't do it, cut it in half, but you can actually convert your NuGet packages from a NuGet.config to inside the CS Proj, what we call new style. I don't know what they call it. But you basically, it goes from like, I don't know, but like the
reference include equals blah to package reference.
Yeah, if you start using package references, it behaves differently. And how do I say this very carefully? You go from like 1,000 NuGet references, in our case, like somewhere around 1,000 to like 50. And like it just shrinks the number. You see what I'm saying? Like,
and it's also like, remember that you have the packages folder for .NET Framework as opposed to the .NuGet in the user profile.
Oh man, I do not know that. But what was I going to say?
You got delete packages and use NuGet is the summary, right? Is that what we're saying?
Well, it's saying very carefully, stop using NuGet config files and or was it packages config? Is that what it used to be for .NET Framework projects?
Like package manifest, package.manifest, packages.config.
Packages.config, probably. Yep. There we go. So you convert that to inside the CS Proj, which of course you're running a super old school ASP.NET website, so you don't have a CS Proj here.
Right, but I mean, you do. You just have to unload and then right click, edit project file that way.
Oh goodness, that's right, you do. Oh, what a joy! I forgot. Anyway, my point is, in steps, convert NuGet packages over, then convert your library projects over to .NET Standard. Then you can convert the things, like a website would be a thing. It's a what are the words for these? Non-shared libraries. Then you convert these over to .NET Core. 1, 2, 3.
Application project, yeah.
You can be done as quickly as I've said it, and that's a joke, by the way. because again, it's going to be so much pain and suffering.
I mean, so those are essentially the exact steps that I took. So, I mean, it's not wrong. They really are those steps, aside from needing to convert some of the code to something that works with .NET Core. But I remember that I did like 7 projects, I don't know how many projects, in the span of 1 to 1.5 years. So it really is possible. And these are not small projects either. They have a lot of moving parts. It's just the work to be done is in what?
You raced that's amazing speed. That's like, think of it in quarters. You did more than one project in a quarter, completed end to finish. That you like
it was
coasted.
Just fun stuff though. But yeah, so all of these, except for 3 desktop apps, were web apps that started off looking like this. JSPs. Anyway, the point is that it's definitely doable. The work involved is not in the code itself, because that's almost always a copy pasta with a couple of updates and then optimizations to clean up the crappy code that you're probably wanting to. But it's really finding the compatible NuGet packages and structuring the project, which I said in the opposite. No, I said in the same order that Peter said to do it in. So, and
for me, the ones that I did migrate, limited experience, were much considerably smaller. And so for me, I created I ran the tool, looked at what was different, and then created a new project with new solution with the implemented changes, and then copied and pasted the code across. Because it was a smaller project, it was like 2 or 3 projects deep, as opposed to a massive monolith where you have like 30, 20, 30, 40 or more libraries and projects in there. Well, yeah, projects. Yeah. So it depends what your size of your project is.
I got rid of all of the older projects. So like this RMA Water one was the one that I wanted to show because it had the most external library dependencies. Like it had ArcGIS, a lot of JavaScript stuff, and a whole bunch of report generators like Crystal Reports. Crystal Reports.
That's called data science now. They call it. Report writing is going, it's data science.
I'm still using or doing a project that has Crystal Reports, and I'm converting those reports to web forms, essentially, to web versions of their reports. This one. Where are you? This report here.
One last thing about NuGet packages.
Yeah.
One of the things ReSharper does, there is a refactoring there where you run it on a giant project with 140 projects on it. You can say clean up unused NuGet packages, and it will do it. And it like, again, like you may want to just subscribe for a month and then do it, or use the 30-day, once in a lifetime 30-day thing. But that will save you like, I don't know, a week of effort, or a week of buggy effort. Anyway, it's really great when you're trying to clean up your NuGet packages, and especially when you're about to convert them. That's a big one. And yeah, by the way, DFlux, you mentioned the Amazon conversion tool, and one looked at a Microsoft. I think the Amazon one came first, and it was really good, and then Microsoft released one. There's like everyone.
Yeah, theirs was hard to use though. It was command line only, and now that I just looked at the docs, it's like there's an extension for it. I'm kind of interested to see how it performs on this project, but hopefully I'll be able to do that before we run out of time. So keep talking.
In summary, try them all.
Yeah, try them all.
Yeah.
Because at least you'll get a report printout of here are some packages that aren't compatible with .NET, whatever you're targeting, .NET 7 most likely. So yeah, do the thing. Anyway, keep talking. Right. Now that I say keep talking, no one has anything to say.
And then I would say once you're to the point where everything's migrated across the .NET Core, we can actually help you with this tick the little button on your website that does the "Have you agreed to the terms and conditions?" 6 months from now,
That's the whole point of it.
Still won't be
The
able
answer
help
to
it.
your question is convert to .NET Core, and then you'll be
Put it
able
in
to.
a cookie. There you go. Middle cookie and some sort of middleware, which is a vague term, not a specific one. Cookie and middleware, get it done, ship it, and then put an apology comment. No one will care. There you go.
I actually
They
have
have the cookie
ChatGPT put in
developer.
the apology comment for you.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Done. So, what else?
So
we
I got
GitHub
this new
Copilot.
dash cam, and I'm hella confused.
Dash pan? P-A-N or C-A-M?
Like car, vehicle.
There's
dash
pans
cam.
you can do. Okay, yeah, vehicle dash cam. What would be a dash pan?
I
We
have
don't
no
know.
idea,
That's
but
why
it sounded
we're
like you
asking.
said dash pan.
It lets you cook while
We're
you're
moving
driving.
on.
Yeah, I kind of want one now. You say that, I'm like, I want a dash pan.
You put it on your dashboard so that you can cook eggs while you drive in the summer.
No, that sounds like an Uber Eats dasher. Like you could like cook the food. Like instead of them like packaging it up, they can like give the dasher the ingredients and chef gets in the car and cooks it, and then it like literally as soon as it's like ready to serve, then they hop the plate out of the car and hand it to you, and the chef gets back in the car and goes to the next dasher gig.
No. I could see that
I
happening.
thought you were
with
going another way
kids.
with that.
I like that.
I thought you were saying you cook it while on the way to your destination.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you have the driver and
But,
you have the
like,
chef.
But no, you're in
Then
an
you- back
Uber.
seats of food.
You're in an Uber going somewhere, and you're doing the cooking as the person who ordered this thing.
They give you the ingredients as the person who ordered it, and you're cooking it in the Uber.
Because that's how you mix Uber and eating. I don't know what they're doing with
that's-
their name.
That is the perfectly ridiculous explanation. Well done.
Anyway, so
Well,
I want a refund on my dash pan because it doesn't work. The food's cold.
Yeah.
Food's
No,
always
it's-
cold.
This is one of the first ones where I've got where they actually include a rear view camera as part of the dash cam. And so I'm thinking this is really cool because it's Type C. So I'm like, well, could I just use this as a webcam? Can I? And I plug it in, it doesn't do anything. And then I'm like, well, how do I actually plug it into the dash cam? Because there's only one Type C port on it. So how do I get it power and I don't know. Plug it in. I don't know.
No one knows.
Nobody
Yeah, it
knows.
was
Yeah, I'm
half
gonna keep.
thoughts.
I'm gonna keep plugging. Sorry, yeah, I was just
If you-
confusing. I wanted to get a dash cam because I'm driving vacation. I was like, I should get a dash cam because someone's gonna do something crazy, and then I can upload it somewhere, which is kind of what it means to be an American is to like record other people failing and uploading it.
It's true. True. I do it.
But I don't
do it
promote
3
that on
times
this
today.
channel.
Oh,
I
okay.
promote uplifting people.
Oh, uplifting. Okay. Same.
Well,
But
if they
you-
drive, if they drive off the edge of a bridge and it goes up, that counts.
By the way,
That's
Mojo
really
disappeared.
dark.
Mojo's gone. He's
Yeah,
lost.
he dropped. He's like, guys, I got a meeting.
Oh, he did. Okay.
But I was
Oh,
hoping
no, he
I was
does.
hoping to get this thing installed so that I can see if we can see what the upgrade looks like. Supposedly you can right click and get a new context menu. But I'm not seeing it. And we are at the end of the stream.
All right. Perfect timing. It's been super real. Yeah. It's been super real. There's no other way to say it. Yes.
Oh.
Rock and
That's a
roll.
good question though. Dugasoft just asked a very relevant good question that's kind of related to what we were talking about. How do you actually get your application to not send or create cookies unless the user accepts your cookies? We use cookies. I mean, it's
Was-
always going to at least do the strictly necessary ones. We know that. You can't disable that. So you will get at least one cookie. It's just maybe there is some way for them to tell it which information to track in that cookie based on your preferences, and they don't do that until you accept. I guess. Always refer to page.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's not really. That's like a browser setting that the browser then decides what it wants to do with the cookie, if it wants to or not, or refuse.
So it's probably like the way that you do Android manifest or Windows desktop manifest, where you tell it, here are the capabilities. So you're kind of tagging. It's a browser setting. Okay, so you're kind of tagging, or it's not a browser setting, is what Mastery 7 says. You're tagging whatever types of cookies or information that you want to track as whatever those things are. Wait, Mila's here. Came at the end of the stream. And then the browser is deciding what to do, if your way was right. But yeah, I think it's specifically the app. I don't know. But yeah, I need to get back to work. And actually, I need to call one of the devs and pair with him a little bit. So, any last words, DFlux? With your internet cutting in and out? I think DFlux lost his internet.
I had stepped away.
Oh.
No, I had stepped away to came in my car. And then I remembered that I had spilled barbecue sauce in my center console. And I'm like, why am I trying to avoid the barbecue sauce and plugging my dash cam in when I could just clean up the barbecue sauce? I'm such a lazy person. This happened like 2 months ago. I've had barbecue sauce in there. I'm like, fucking clean it up, you lazy fuck. So I went and got cleaner, and that's why it wasn't the computer. I love your stream. Thank you so much. Streaming as always. I appreciate it so much, and thank you everyone else in chat.
Looking forward to the next time you stream.
I gotta find a Discord.
I'm lost. Tab, 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 tab. All right. Well, okay. So as you can tell, that's the end of today's stream. I hope you enjoyed the company that we had. Really good. Found it. Really, really good conversations today. Here's a quick shout out to Mila. Mila Mori. Camu. No, I typed it wrong. This is what happens when you have a really good non-bot bot taking care of everything. Too bad I only started watching at the end. I'm sorry, but I will be back on Monday at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 2 hours ago, 2 days from now, 3 days from now, provided my internet stays and nothing breaks. Geez. Bang, shout out. Could not find it because I spelled it wrong. Did I put Moria? I put Moria. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, so that's a shout out from Mila, who is learning Unity, and she's doing amazing. She's already gotten so far with it, and yeah, give her a watch and a follow. I would do the fancy pants shout out, but it's still on cooldown. And my chat disconnected and reconnected, so maybe it's my internet that's having some issues. But since we haven't been able to do this before, because he streams a lot later than I end, we're going to raid Irish John Games. As I mentioned, he is doing a co-stream with Nerduino, doing a charity stream for Oceania fundraiser thing. So feel free to hang out with me as we head on over there. If you aren't into, right now they're playing a game together. But if you aren't into gaming or game dev or stuff like that, then definitely don't have to follow along. As mentioned at the top of the stream, I will be posting this video to YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. And I will be back on the Mondays. Feel free to join our Discord if you want to. We have some really cool people. Join us again. I have a community day every Friday, unless things break or I am stuck in a meeting. Yeah, So let's do this again, starting Monday. Okay. By the way, you're the only person I've seen with more screens behind you than you would find in a what? In an SoC? I don't know what an SoC is. But yeah, that's still kind of what my desk looks like. I just have 2 more laptops on top of it. One from Security Operations Center. I have my Sageti laptop and then my client laptop that I do most of my day job on. Anyway, raid timer's counting down. I'll wave. I'll say ciao for now. Hope you guys enjoy.